You've been told Roman concrete was weak, that Damascus steel was magic, that the pyramids required alien intervention, that ancient Greeks couldn't build computers. Every single claim is wrong, dead wrong. And the proof sits in laboratories right now being analyzed by scientists who just shattered every textbook assumption about ancient engineering. What happens when modern technology finally catches up to decode what the ancients actually built? In January 2023, a team at Massachusetts Institute of Technology, led by Professor Admir Masic, published their findings in Science Advances. After examining 2,000-year-old concrete from Privernum, Italy, they found something nobody expected: white chunks scattered throughout the material. For decades, archaeologists dismissed these lime clasts as sloppy workmanship, bad mixing, poor quality control. Masic asked the obvious question nobody else bothered with. If Romans spent centuries perfecting their concrete recipes, documented in texts by Vitruvius around 30 to 20 before Common Era, why would they suddenly get careless with the final product? When Roman builders mixed quicklime with volcanic ash and water in what researchers now call hot mixing, the reaction generated massive heat. This created a brittle nanoparticulate structure inside each lime clast. Fast forward 2 millennia. When cracks form in Roman concrete, they preferentially travel through these high surface area lime clasts. Water seeps in, the calcium reacts, calcium carbonate crystallizes, the crack seals itself within 2 weeks. They examined a house frozen mid-renovation when Vesuvius erupted in 79 Common Era. The evidence was undeniable. Piles of dry quicklime mixed with volcanic pozzolan sat next to walls under construction. The builders were using hot mixing right up until the mountain buried them. The Pantheon's dome, dedicated in 128 Common Era, spans 142 feet without a single steel reinforcement bar. It's still the largest unreinforced concrete dome on Earth. Modern engineers can't match it, can't even come close. The concrete industry pumps 6 billion tons of carbon dioxide into the atmosphere annually, making Portland cement that fails in decades. Roman concrete lasted millennia and stored carbon in the process. 24, which conducted independent verification of the Pompeii construction site analysis. Now back to the information. Any of it. The weapon was Greek fire. The formula died with the empire. We still don't know how to make it. The Byzantine military manuals describe specialized dromon ships fitted with bronze siphons mounted at the bow. Crews, called siphonarioi, operated pressurized flame projectors. The liquid inside burned on water, stuck to everything it touched, could only be extinguished with a mixture of vinegar, sand, and aged urine, according to contemporary accounts. Arab fleets besieged Constantinople for 4 years. The city was dying. Then Byzantine ships sailed out spraying fire from their bows. The Arab fleet scattered. Chronicler Theophanes recorded that enemies threw themselves into the sea, preferring drowning to burning. The siege broke. In 717 to 718 Common Era, another Arab fleet blockaded the capital for a full year. Greek fire routed them again. The Russian Rus faced it in 941 and 1043. Both invasions collapsed. Operators knew how to pressurize and spray. Chemists knew one ingredient. Metallurgists knew siphon construction. Shipbuilders knew dromon specifications. Nobody held the complete picture. The exact ratios remain unknown. Some scholars suggest early gunpowder. Others dismiss it. Tests can't replicate the historical descriptions. The substance reportedly produced a loud roar and thick smoke. It burned hotter on water than on land. Nothing modern comes close except napalm, and even that doesn't match every recorded characteristic. Byzantine forces used handheld kerosiphons, portable flamethrowers, described by Leo VI and Nicephorus II, against siege machinery and infantry formations. They filled ceramic grenades and launched them with catapults. The composite pomegranates weighed less than 9 kilos and flew 400 meters. Each one scattered caltrops coated in burning liquid. The weapon defined 7 centuries of Mediterranean warfare. Then it vanished. Napalm shares chemical properties, but the original Byzantine formula is gone, lost, irretrievable. Salvage operations recovered statues, glassware, jewelry, coins, and one corroded lump of bronze. Mathematician and filmmaker Tony Freeth from University College London began serious study in 2005. His team got permission for 3-dimensional scans of all 82 surviving fragments. The scans revealed text, instructions, descriptions of function, based on Greek, Egyptian, and Babylonian calendars. The front dial tracked the Sun, Moon, Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn. The back held 2 circular dials. The upper reconciled lunar months with solar years using the 19-year Metonic cycle discovered by Babylonians. The lower calculated eclipses using the 223-month Saros cycle. A smaller dial marked athletic festivals. Bronze gears milled to millimeter precision using vertical lathes and bow drills. Dozens of interlocking wheels operating in concert. German philologist Albert Ram found the number 19 inscribed on one fragment between 1905 and 1906, then 76, then 223. Each number corresponded to astronomical cycles. The mechanism embedded mathematical knowledge from across the ancient world: Greek astronomy, Babylonian period relations, Egyptian timekeeping. They included the mechanism's distinctive triangular gear teeth. Previous reconstructions smoothed those out. Ziggity and Arenas didn't. If Edmonds's error measurements are accurate, the mechanism wouldn't have functioned as a practical astronomical tool. It would have been a toy, an educational display, a proof of concept that couldn't sustain operation. The corrosion distorted every measurement. Current scans can't tell us what the original dimensions actually were. The mechanism might have worked perfectly when new. We're measuring a shipwreck, not a pristine device. In June 2024, researchers from University of Glasgow published analysis in the Horological Journal using statistical techniques from gravitational wave research. They examined the calendar ring. X-rays revealed regularly spaced holes beneath the ring. Previous estimates ranged from 347 to 367 holes. This suggests the mechanism tracked Greek lunar years, not solar ones. It was more sophisticated than initially believed. Different calendar system, more complex calculations. But the jamming problem remains unresolved. Either the ancient Greeks built an incredibly intricate device that required constant manual correction, like a mechanical watch needing frequent adjustment, or our measurements are wrong. In July 2024, research published in the Horological Journal by Graham Wone and Joseph Bailey showed the evidence for 354 holes. Tony Freeth from the UCL Antikythera research team immediately called the results just wrong. He cited another, more accurate lunar calendar already identified within the mechanism. The academic fight continues. The device is real. The engineering is extraordinary. Whether it actually worked remains one of history's greatest unsolved puzzles. The steel originated in India, Woods. Crucible steel containing 1.5 to 2% carbon. Archaeological evidence from mid-first millennium before Common Era shows production in Golconda, Telangana, Karnataka, Tamil Nadu, and Sri Lanka. Indian smiths packed small clay crucibles with bloomery iron, charcoal, and dried leaves from vanadium-bearing plants. They sealed the crucibles, heated them in charcoal furnaces to 1400 to 1450 degrees Celsius, slow-cooled, cracked them open. Inside were puck-shaped ingots with pale lines of cementite, iron carbide, the signature of Woods. Syrian blacksmiths forged the ingots into blades at relatively low temperatures around 920 degrees Celsius, then reheated and quenched. The quenching process was sacred, ritualized, charged with magic. Legend claimed blades were cooled in dragon blood. One Pakistani family letter to the Metropolitan Museum of Art claimed their ancestral Damascus sword was quenched by impaling an enemy warrior. The blood cooled the blade. The truth was chemistry. The high carbon content combined with forge welding techniques and controlled temperature produced cementite bands, central core of iron carbide, surrounded by softer steel, folding, hammering, low heat, creates a superplastic matrix, strong and flexible simultaneously. Tests on surviving blades show average tensile strength of 1,070 megapascals. Modern hot-rolled steel hits 965. Damascus was genuinely superior. When the team material composition shifted, their methods failed. The secret wasn't in the smithing, it was in the ore. They succeeded in creating pattern-forming hyper-eutectoid crucible steel with visible carbide banding. Modern smiths can now produce Damascus pattern steel. Two methods exist. Pattern welding, where different steel types are forged, welded together, and folded to create surface patterns. This is what most modern Damascus knives use. It's not authentic Woods. The second method recreates actual Woods steel using correct ore composition and crucible techniques. Christopher Dunn published the Giza power plant in 1998, claiming the pyramids were energy facilities. He released a 2024 sequel linking Nikola Tesla to the Giza complex. No credible archaeologist accepts either claim, but the pyramids do have secrets. Real ones, documented, verified, that nobody talks about, while conspiracy theories flooded social media. A study published in PLOS 1 by Xavier Landreau and colleagues examined the step pyramid of Djoser at Saqqara, built during the Third Dynasty around 2670 to 2650 before Common Era under Pharaoh Djoser. The structure stands 60 to 62 meters tall, first colossal stone building in Egypt. Researchers mapped underground infrastructure in 3 dimensions using Unreal Engine software from video game company Ubisoft. They found an advanced hydraulic system, not ramps, not aliens, water engineering. The Abusir Wadi, a seasonal watercourse, cuts through the Saqqara plateau. Ancient Egyptians excavated moats and trenches to redirect water flow. Underground are granite chambers with rock plugs. These stored water used in hydraulic lifting of stone blocks. 2 massive vertical shafts on the north and south ends of the complex measure 23 feet wide and extend 92 to 98 feet deep. The north shaft sits directly beneath Djoser's pyramid. This explains how Third Dynasty Egyptians moved stones before developing the advanced ramp systems used at Giza, lead author Xavier Landreau noted that historical documentation from this period is extremely limited. The first pyramid texts appear in the 5th dynasty. Djoser's pyramid was built 2 dynasties earlier. No instruction manual survived, but the infrastructure remains. In May 2024, Smithsonian Magazine reported on research from Higashi Nippon International University, Tohoku University, and Egypt's National Research Institute of Astronomy and Geophysics. They used ground-penetrating radar and muon tomography. They found an anomaly beneath the Khafre pyramid, not a vast underground city, not Atlantean ruins, an L-shaped shallow structure connected to a deeper structure. The shallow portion was filled with sand after construction. May have been an entrance. Hawass called it fabrications propagated by individuals with no expertise in ancient Egyptian civilization. He stated no permits were granted for work inside Khafre pyramid. No radar devices have been used with proper authorization. The Supreme Council of Antiquities confirmed 0 approved projects making these claims. Research published by Drexel University professor Michel Barsoum and colleagues suggests some pyramid blocks weren't carved. They were cast, an early form of concrete. The team found mineral compounds and air bubbles in the stone that don't occur naturally. They found silicon dioxide in ratios that don't match limestone quarries, but do match a mixture of crushed limestone, clay, lime, and water. Barsoum's analysis showed the blocks contain a geopolymer cement. Joseph Davidovits from the Geopolymer Institute in France proposed this theory decades earlier. Nobody believed him. Microscopic analysis vindicated him. The Egyptians dissolved limestone in giant Nile River pools. They added crushed lime, diatomaceous earth, and water, poured the mixture into wooden molds, let it set. This explains why some blocks fit together so precisely. No gap for a human hair. It also explains why no copper chisels have been found at Giza, despite millions of tons of supposedly carved stone. Barsoum points out this technology is simpler and more environmentally friendly than modern Portland cement. The raw materials exist everywhere. Limestone, lime, diatomaceous earth. Replicating this method would reduce carbon emissions by billions of tons annually. How 4th dynasty Egyptians hoisted granite that heavy to that height using Bronze Age technology is still unknown. Hydraulic lift theories may apply. Ramp theories persist. Internal ramp theories suggest the ramps were built inside the pyramid as it rose. External ramp theories propose massive temporary structures. Water lubrication theories show that wetting sand reduces friction dramatically, making sleds slide easier. The Diary of Merer papyri discovered in 2013 at Wadi al-Jarf provides the only contemporary account. Merer was a mid-ranking official overseeing stone transport for Khufu's pyramid around 2580 to 2550, before Common Era. The papyri describe sourcing limestone from Tura quarries and shipping it up the Nile. Crews worked in rotating shifts. They were paid in beer and bread, not slaves, skilled laborers. Archaeologists found workers' cemeteries near Giza, showing these people were respected, well-fed, housed in barracks, buried with honor. 3-month shifts. The pyramids were national projects. Every region contributed. Moving these stones united Egypt under divine kingship. The pharaoh became a god through architecture. These were not slaves. They were citizens participating in the greatest engineering projects in human history. The real discoveries get ignored while fantasy spreads. The Antikythera mechanism was built 2,000 years before mechanical computers supposedly became possible. We assumed they were exaggerating. We were wrong. We know the general components, but not the ratios or preparation method. Roman hot mixing concrete only got rediscovered in 2023. When the Byzantine Empire fell, Greek fire died with it. When Indian Wootz ore deposits changed Damascus, steel stopped. When the Western Roman Empire collapsed, hot mixing concrete was forgotten. The Eastern Roman Empire kept using it for centuries. Then that knowledge died too. Structures that last thousands of years instead of decades. The concrete industry is the 3rd largest source of carbon dioxide after transportation and energy production. Switching to geopolymer cement, using ancient Egyptian methods, would transform construction. Using Roman self-healing techniques would eliminate constant infrastructure replacement. Ancient hydraulic engineering at Saqqara shows sophisticated water management 4,600 years ago. Modern drought-prone regions could learn from systems that worked when the Sahara was grassland. The Antikythera mechanism proves ancient peoples understood complex astronomy and mechanical engineering. Their knowledge of planetary cycles was precise. Their ability to manufacture geared machines was real. Dismissing them as primitive is actively harmful. We haven't found them all, but we're finally asking the right questions using proper scientific methods instead of making up stories about aliens and power plants. Chemical analysis of the mortar matching the hot mixing hypothesis. This wasn't speculation anymore. It was documentation, physical proof. Direct observation of Roman construction methods frozen in time by volcanic ash. Not assumption, testing, verification, replication. The Romans really did use quicklime and exothermic reactions to create self-healing concrete. We really can reproduce it. We really should. The evidence suggests the system worked, but proper scientific method requires verification before declaring certainty. That's the difference between archaeology and fantasy. Real researchers say, we believe we found this, here's our evidence, here's what we need to confirm it. Frauds say we definitely found Atlantis. Don't ask questions, trust us. Real chemical understanding. When we can't figure out how they did something, the problem is our understanding, not their capability. Every single major mystery about ancient technology eventually gets solved the same way. Careful analysis, chemical testing, structural examination, historical document review. Usually the ancients already wrote down how they did it. We just didn't believe them or couldn't read their language or assumed they were using metaphor when they were being literal. Then Massick found the lime clasts, read Vitruvius again with fresh understanding, realized Vitruvius had been right all along. We just misinterpreted him because we thought we knew better. But without understanding the role of vanadium and carbon impurities in Woot's ore, the instructions didn't make sense. Once Verhoeven identified the chemistry, he read the historical texts again. They were accurate. We were ignorant. What they don't describe is the exact chemical formula. That was state secret, compartmentalized. But they describe enough that modern chemists have narrowed it to petroleum base with quicklime, sulfur, resin, and possibly other additives. We can't get the proportions right. Testing is limited because deliberately creating uncontrollable flaming liquid weapons is illegal and insanely dangerous. But the general composition is known. The mystery is specifics, not fundamentals. Sophisticated. Exactly what it looked like. A mechanical astronomical computer from the 2nd or 1st century before Common Era. The recent debate about whether it actually worked well is separate from the fact that ancient Greeks built it. Even if it jammed frequently, they still created a geared mechanism calculating planetary positions 1,500 years before anything comparable existed elsewhere. They weren't primitive. They had different technologies than we do, but their technologies often worked better for their applications than modern substitutes work now. Roman concrete beats modern concrete for durability. Ancient Damascus steel beats modern steel for combined hardness and flexibility. Greek fire was more effective than modern incendiaries in specific naval warfare contexts. Egyptian geopolymer cement might beat Portland cement for environmental sustainability. But within their knowledge base, they were extremely sophisticated. They optimized solutions to problems using available materials and methods. Why did we forget how to build unreinforced domes spanning 140 feet? The knowledge existed. Civilizations practiced these techniques for centuries or millennia. Then the knowledge died. Generation. If the people who know how to do something all die at once, and they haven't trained replacements, the technique dies. If they've trained replacements, but those replacements don't fully understand the underlying principles, the technique degrades until it fails. Greek fire died because Byzantine military security compartmentalized knowledge so thoroughly that when the empire collapsed, nobody held the complete picture. Roman hot-mixing concrete died in Western Europe because the political and economic system supporting professional engineering guilds collapsed. The Eastern Roman Empire kept using advanced concrete for centuries longer. Then their knowledge died too when Constantinople fell. This matters beyond historical curiosity. Right now we face challenges requiring materials and techniques we've forgotten. Climate change demands sustainable building materials. Roman geopolymer cement and Egyptian cast limestone both offer viable alternatives to Portland cement. Water scarcity demands sophisticated hydraulic engineering. Ancient systems at Saqqara and across the Middle East managed water resources in drought conditions. We should study them. Resource depletion demands materials that last. Roman self-healing concrete lasted 2,000 years. Modern concrete lasts 50 if we're lucky. Knowledge, we're now rediscovering through scientific analysis, proves the ancients were right. They knew what they were doing. We're the ones who forgot. Our job now is to reconstruct what we lost, not by wild speculation, by careful study, by treating ancient peoples as the intelligent engineers they were, by reading their documents literally instead of dismissing them as myth, by analyzing their structures chemically instead of assuming we already know how they were built. Confirm they held water for hydraulic lifts. At Pompeii, walls frozen mid-construction show quicklime piles exactly where Roman builders left them 1,946 years ago. In laboratories at MIT, samples of Roman concrete heal their own cracks under observation. At museums worldwide, Damascus steel blades forged 1,200 years ago still show carbon nanostructure patterns we struggle to reproduce. In Athens, 82 fragments of the Antikythera mechanism wait for someone to finally determine if the gear alignment was precise enough for reliable function, or if corrosion distorted measurements beyond recovery. We just have to do the work ourselves to understand it. Stop assuming they couldn't do it. Start figuring out how they did. They managed rainforest agriculture in ways modern farmers struggle to match. Off Israel's coast, at nearly 2 kilometers depth, oil company robots discovered a perfectly preserved Canaanite shipwreck from 3,300 years ago. Bronze Age sailors navigating deep water far from shore using celestial navigation. star positions, current knowledge, wave patterns. They crossed open oceans successfully. Ancient peoples understood lactose intolerance, created fermented dairy to solve the problem. This was deliberate food science. Chemical analysis shows specific bacterial cultures, controlled fermentation, intentional preservation. Abstract thought. These capabilities aren't recent developments. Ritual response to volcanic eruption that blocked sunlight. Neolithic farmers facing crop failure performed mass ceremonies. Ancient peoples understood climate as existential threat. In Spain, scientists found facial fragments from 1.1 to 1.4 million years ago, oldest in Europe. Human lineage goes back further than textbooks claimed. Every generation rediscovers something previous generations knew: iron smelting, concrete chemistry, astronomical calculation. Each technique seems miraculous when rediscovered, but it's reconstruction, following evidence back to source, testing hypotheses. This is how knowledge works. We dismiss their documents as fairy tales. We miss valuable knowledge. Roman concrete chemistry sat in ruins for 1,600 years, while modern concrete crumbled. Greek fire recipe is genuinely lost, but nobody systematically tests Byzantine petroleum formulations with additives in pressurized bronze siphons. That would be expensive, dangerous, seemingly pointless for modern military. So the knowledge stays lost, not because recovery is impossible, because nobody funds the research. Modern imaging existed for decades. Nobody applied it because the device was assumed simpler. Once proper scans were done, complexity became obvious. That's progress. Understanding what it was, debating operational reliability. Knowledge advances through careful application of new techniques to old problems. Ancient engineering offers sustainable alternatives: geopolymer cement, natural dyes, fermentation, water management. Traditional methods often use less energy while achieving acceptable results. We need scientific evaluation, testing performance, measuring sustainability, comparing life cycle costs. Willow bark contains salicylic acid, precursor to aspirin. Ancient peoples used it for pain and fever. Modern chemistry isolated the compound, made it better, but underlying knowledge came from millennia of observation. But within their knowledge domains, they achieved sophistication we underestimate: civil engineering, metallurgy, astronomy, agriculture, navigation, deep knowledge, practical applications that worked, built structures demonstrating knowledge. We benefit from their work. The buildings stand, the techniques work, the evidence remains. When we accept that and study ancient achievements as human achievements, we learn faster, discover more, benefit better from knowledge our ancestors spent millennia accumulating. And maybe we'll stop being surprised that humans 5,000 years ago were basically as smart as humans today. They just knew different things, had different tools, faced different challenges, but same brains, same capacity, same species. Worth remembering.